I must say this also. If you're trying to produce a loving dog, a kind dog, a sweet dog, it can be done. But don't mix it up with bringing out the predatory side of the dog that's anything more than what is natural. In other words, by tricking them, tricking the hormones to become assertive and dominant in their activities throughout our daily life with them, we can achieve that kind of dog, that sweet, loving, kind dog. But if we take these inanimate objects that were designed to produce a working dog, a protection dog, then we're going to interfere with the normal genetic flow that's organic within the animal, you see? And that's what these inanimate objects do. I'm talking about toys used in the wrong way. When we're going to make a dog to be kind, sweet, loving, then we've got to do those types of things with them, not the type of things that bring out the side in them that eventually gets them and us in trouble. If we think about the dogs that are in the shelter, those dogs are there because they got the information incorrectly as to why we were doing what we were doing. I can't say enough that dogs expect for us to think like them because that's the only way they can think. And human beings expect for dogs to understand why we do what we do. And most of the things that we do with them is because we love them. So it's done out of love. But as we all know that some of the worst things that have ever been done in life have been done out of love, or the misunderstanding of what love means to one or another person. So we know that that can go wrong. It's about understanding what it is that you're trying to achieve and know how to get it. But we have to first know how nature intended animals to process information. That means how they think. Now, I've said many times that dogs think predatorily all the time. Discipline, domination, life, death, hierarchy. That's the survival part in them because they are compulsive creatures. As you can see here, this is all a play of survival. It's what it is they're practicing what they would be doing if they were wild. This is just hardwired in them. So if we don't bring this out in them early or teach them how to temper that, then we're going to get lost. Now there's a time for everything. As I'm raising these puppies, I'm just now starting to discipline them, just now, because I know that they can handle it. Why do I wait now? Because they're more responsive, they're a bit more quiet, they understand what's necessary. And so I use that to my advantage. I know I use the age that they are to my advantage because I know that they can handle it. It's just like with kids. We'll say, okay, well, kids are not adults until they're 18. I know some a little longer, but what we're talking about is the hormonal change that takes place within the child that they can get a better control over. And this is what I'm talking about with the dogs. But we don't think about that with our dogs. And we should, because we see this side of them and we attach ourselves to it and we begin to feed it, not knowing that there's ever a time that we should just say, hey, this is not acceptable. And I'm talking about what we consider to be playtime. There are certain things that's just not acceptable. We can talk about those things a little later, but what I'm really trying to get at here is that when we are raising them, understand that they're seeking a physical relationship. If they weren't, they would not be doing this. Doesn't mean that they're not seeking these other things, but the most important is the physical. That's why they run to the aggressive situation, the stimulant. And that's why they're doing this predatory thing like this, because it's in them. Our job is to understand it, to teach them, to temper it. And that means that we have to give them an arena like this to practice these techniques on them so they can learn how to judge their level of aggression. And then, after all of this is done, if we want, then we can get into the training, into the part that says, look, my dog is human-like, which is not important to me, but I understand the concept, and it has its advantages depending on what we're trying to do with our dogs. We'll continue.